to this video. So we're gonna go and get this video started. I know there's been some questions, and most common questions that I get are how do I compare the Procharger versus the Whipple setup? So let me get on the road. Maybe you guys can hear how the Whipple sounds inside the car. It's a very different sound compared to the Procharger setup. Both sound great. It's just that if you are wanting a crazy sound on the outside, the Whipple's not really going to give that to you, especially if you have a really loud exhaust. That's the biggest, I guess, con for me moving to the Whipple. If you do care about the sound of whatever it is you buy. Some people are like, well, hey, if I'm going to spend $6,000-7,000 or more on a Supercharger, I want to be able to hear it. I want to hear it on the outside. I want to hear it on the inside. That is the biggest downfall of the Whipple. I don't see, or I'm not a huge fan of, like, when I'm driving next to Julie's car, you can definitely hear that Procharger with the red valve. It's always venting. It sounds really badass. The Whipple has that whine. If you've watched my videos, you can hear a really loud whine in the car. And that's because of the Sean Foster mod. And if you guys aren't sure what that is, it's a guy that develops these. They're kind of like sound tubes, but they have a little bit more engineering than just like a hose that runs inside your car. It allows me to hear the Whipple a lot more, which for me, I wanted. It was only about 145 bucks, but it was well worth it just so that I can hear the Whipple. The other thing is the motor, or the intake air temps. The biggest thing, other big thing that I noticed when I brought the Whipple home was that the IATs were about 20 to 30 degrees higher. Well, that's because VMP has a harness that puts the air temperature sensor not before the MAF, so not at the intake, but after it hits the intercooler. After it hits the intercooler on the Whipple. So, and for those of you that don't know, the Procharger has a front mount intercooler. The intercooler that is cooled by coolant is underneath the actual Whipple head unit itself. So it will get a little bit hotter, but I have the dual fan upgrades on the heat exchanger, and eventually I'll probably go with the larger heat exchanger anyways. So that's another thing, is the higher IATs that I notice. But for the most part, the car drives great. Lund did a really good job tuning the car. I have less drivability issues that I notice when I'm just driving around than with this setup than I did the Procharger. The biggest issues with the Procharger that I had was when you're on the highway, you kind of had a little bit of a weird, like, surging problem that a lot of people tend to attribute to the MAF being inside the intercooler. There's a lot of turbulence inside the intercooler itself. I've heard that before. Tuners told me that. And I think they make a relocation kit, but overall, the Procharger wasn't too bad for drivability. A lot of it got tuned out over the years. John Lund did an amazing job with it. But I would say as far as drivability goes, the Whipple drives closer to stock than the Procharger did. On the Procharger setup, you know, sometimes when I got on the gas, I would get that weird, like, that weird bucking problem that I don't really get in the Whipple car. I haven't noticed it in the 2 weeks or so that I've really been driving it. Power-wise, that's another question. Like, oh, how does the Procharger power compare to the Whipple power? It's kind of like apples and oranges. Up top, they both pull really nicely. But the biggest problem, or the biggest thing that I noticed when I went from Procharger to Whipple, was the amount of torque that I have down low compared to Procharger. When I installed my Procharger years ago, I almost felt like I lost torque on the mid-range and low end. Going from NA to the Procharger, I feel like I lost a little bit of torque. Obviously the top end power was really nice, but I did always kind of miss that little bit. And even driving full bolt on NA cars, I man, they just have a lot more torque. With a Whipple car on the street, oh, it's so much more fun to drive on the street. There's not, whatever gear I'm in, if I'm in like third or fourth, getting on it, I only have to give it like half throttle. I hear the throttle plate open like halfway, and all of a sudden it's just like, man, I get all this torque, and I'm not even in full boost. I'll get like maybe 5 pounds of boost to start with, and that's plenty to get me moving through traffic or wherever I'm going around the street. Now, I'm not always like going crazy on the street, but drivability wise, it's more fun around the street. Just because the Procharger, it kind of required you to like ring it out a little harder. So I think it's just two different forms of power delivery. I think both are fantastic systems. I had issues with my Procharger setup, with boost leaks, with couplers popping off, and that was very early on in the kit. Those of you that install Prochargers without locking out your IMRCs, that's another big thing. I would highly recommend locking out of your IMRCs. And I think even now, to this day, Lund starts to recommend that. But I had gotten my kit so early in development that I broke my IMRCs, and I didn't really notice until I had a really bad dyno day and just a bunch of problems. But my car on the Procharger put down 593 at the wheel, so I was like right at 600. On the Whipple at about 7,000 RPMs, about 7,200. We didn't rev it out all the way. It made 671 and 5 something torque, which is a huge improvement, almost 100 more wheel horsepower than the Procharger, and a lot more torque. It kind of shifted that torque curve all the way to the left, or if you're watching this, all the way to the left, and kind of bumped it up, and you get that torque instantly, and it stays there. It doesn't really fall off. So that's what you really feel on the street. Now in the future, what I plan on doing is moving to a butane tune, which is about 100 or so octane, 104 octane. I have a specific tune for that Lund wrote for me. And then the butane comes in this Saturday. I don't think I'm going to use it at the track day, just because it's $30 a bottle, and it requires a full bottle per tank, and I'm going to be blowing a lot of gas at the track day. So I might mix in a little bit, just for safety, for detonation safety, in case it is a little warmer that day. But I'm not going to be using the butane tune on the track. But after the track day, I will be going to the butane tune, and we're going to toss it on the dyno, and I'm going to see if I can break the 700 mark with that specific tune. And if it sticks at the 700 mark, I'm probably going to be rocking that tune, since I don't daily drive my car every single day. It's a weekend fun car, and when I do drive it, I want to feel all the power. So I'm gonna probably stay with that butane tune. The other thing is, this weekend, my buddy Ryan Smith is installing my oil pump gears and crank sprocket Saturday, and that's why I've been kind of holding off on dynoing it to redline. I want to get it done. I know there's been a lot of back and forth. Oh, do you really need it? My buddy Alex, Devil Dog S550, if you follow him on Instagram, he doesn't have oil pump gears. He hasn't had them for like since he's gotten the Whipple, and he beats the shit out of his car, and he hasn't had a problem with oil pump gears. So I think it's almost a flip of a coin, right? You know, some people get a good MT82, some don't. Some break them, some don't. Like, you know, it's kind of a roll of a dice. What are you gonna get? So, but I want to get that done, just for safety, and then see if I can hit over 7 on the dyno. If I hit over 7, that's gonna be my goal. If I don't, I'll still be happy. If I hit like 690 or something, that'd be super cool. But let's do a little. so good. I have no regrets with the Whipple setup. The one thing is there seems to be some sort of a coolant leak. First it was the Mishimoto tank, and then it's something else, and my buddy thinks it's the water pump when he went to go look at it. So more than likely I'm going to get a water pump swapped out, and then hopefully that's it. Hopefully that's all the problems, because my Whipple kit, the person that I bought it from, had a couple issues with, but I'm not going into full detail about it, just because we're still kind of working things out. But there were some things missing, some things were broken that I had to fix. So this wasn't an easy transaction. I've kind of just kept a lot of it offline. But overall, Whipple has been really responsive with my questions. Lund Racing has been responsive with my questions. So I think you guys had a few questions that I asked on my Instagram, so I'm gonna go ahead and answer those for you guys now. Let's see, let's pull them up. I had them right here. What do you like better, the Procharger or Whipple? Amador 322 asked me, what do I like more, the Procharger or the Whipple? I had the Procharger for like 3.5 years or so. Was an early kid. I had my fun with it, and my original plan was to pull it down and get a fuel system and take it a little further, but I decided, obviously things changed. Which one do I like better? You know, I love the Whipple. It's really, really nice. I'm gonna have to say Whipple, but I think both of them are great kits. I think anybody that buys either of them are gonna be really happy. I don't think, even my being the P1 SC kit with you know, no crazy fuel mods, I had a lot of fun with that car over the past 3 years, and I had no complaints. I beat a lot of cars that I didn't think I would, but the car felt really good. And you guys know I have about 28,000 miles on my car. It was boosted since it was like 6,000 miles. And the car's been fairly healthy, and I don't drive it Kenneth 89 says, knowing what you know now about your Mustang, what would you say is the best mod dollar for dollar? Within the S550, the best mod dollar for dollar, I would have to say, would be tuning. Like, you know, that's the one thing you feel, whether you're driving in traffic or driving on a racetrack or having fun on the highway or doing some BS with friends, the one thing that you feel constantly is your throttle response, the amount of power you have, you know, the butt dyno stuff, right? And if you had $400 to spend on anything and your car is bone stock, even with the stock airbox, everything, tuning hands down is the best mod that I think you can buy for your car. Now, the other thing is, I know there's people out there that really don't like modifying their car to where it could possibly avoid their warranty. They might not have mod-friendly dealerships in their area. The other thing you can look into, and I run it on my car, it's called the iDrive. And it's very similar to Pedal Commander, but it has a lot better features. But it does the same sort of throttle response changes that a tune would do without actually modifying your PCM. So you can plug this in, and it plugs in line on your gas pedal connection, and you can adjust the sensitivity if you want it really sensitive, like a high-end tune, or if you just want close to stock certain days, you can change it on the fly. So I have an iDrive video. If you look in my account, just search for iDrive. I did a video on that unit, and I think that's a great alternative if you don't want to do tuning on your car. It's a good, safe alternative. So the other question, would you ever, Brad3223 says, would you ever consider getting a GT350? And what's my opinion on a new GT500? So the 350, I think is an absolutely beautiful car. I love, you know, the revs that it gives, the balanced power, the Voodoo motor. I think it's absolutely amazing. But for me, I really like modifying my cars. I just think that as a platform you want to modify, I think a GT would be a better platform. And I say that just because if something happens to the motor, the Voodoo motor, getting something like that warranted or replacing yourself is going to be very, very expensive. And I think Shelby and Ford have done a lot of research to make that car really great out of the box. And when you kind of start messing with it, it kind of starts messing with the vehicle dynamics that it isn't really designed for or wasn't tuned for. Not to say that you can't do that, I'm just saying for the price of a 350, well, they've come down a little bit, but the price of a 350, I think I would feel better modding a GT more than a 350. Now the GT 500, I think with ADM markups at the dealership, I think it's going to be out of a realistic range outside of most hardcore Shelby fans that have the money to buy it. I think most people that are really kind of looking around that price range probably are not going to be looking at that GT 500 as a vehicle that they want. That's just my opinion on it. As far as like the only coming in an automatic, it is what it is. You know, if you look at their main demographic, probably, you know, it's an older crowd that doesn't really probably want to bang gears anymore. And even a lot of guys that are into high performance vehicles, it's really hard to beat, you know, a nice automatic in a straight line. It would be interesting to see how the dual clutch works on the 500. I think Ford has a really bad track history with dual clutch systems. You know, I've had a Focus with a dual clutch from Ford, and it was awful. It blew the clutches at 30,000 miles. It was just not a good feeling car. And even Volkswagen and the German guys, I've driven a lot of those DCT, those dual clutch cars, and they still feel kind of awkward. It's just kind of weird feeling to me, and it almost feels like you're driving a manual car, and sometimes when the clutches shudder, it's like, okay, well, I can't do anything about this. This is the computer controlling it, not me. I'm not slipping the clutch out. It's the computer doing it. So I'm not much of a fan of dual clutches, but hey, it is what it is. I'm not going to be buying one, so it's whatever. At the end of the day, I don't really care. So let's see. When you coming to New Mexico so I can take it for a ride in the 50? JS50. I'm probably not going to be driving my car to New Mexico anytime soon. What should I do next to my car? JG Schaefer. I'd have to look at yours, man, to see what I would do. I'll shoot you a DM once I take a look at your car. Timmy301 says, any plans on having a Southeast Gen 6 meet in the southern extremities? I would really like to. I know Savannah's really beautiful. Yeah, and I know we had talked about doing something with Steeda for a while, way long ago. I don't think that's going to happen. My relationship with Steeda, I'm not a huge fan of. So it is what it is. We have some Steeda parts on our cars, but we do not support Steeda. Southeast Gen 6 does not support them, and they don't support us, so it's whatever. There's a lot of other great products on the market. If you guys want a discount for Steeda, there's ways to get that discount. So yeah, that's kind of just my opinion on that. We'll be looking at different locations we can do that. Julie says, how does it feel to have a girlfriend with a faster car than you, or a faster and cooler car than me? Well, I'm not going to answer that one. We'll see what happens at the track day. And that was it pretty much for the questions. So I wanted to thank you guys for tuning in on this. It was fun. I'm going to be doing more Procharger versus Whipple videos, kind of going in a little more in depth. I'm going to be doing a track day video, and we'll see how it is at the track day. This is probably the fastest setup that I've had at Talladega. So yeah, I'm going to be updating with you guys on that. So thanks for tuning in, and if you have any questions, it does me a huge favor if you guys just at least comment that you like the video. Let me know you guys are watching it. Hit the like button. Just let me know, and then I'll just keep doing these videos. Whatever you guys want me to talk about, I'll talk about it, and yeah, we'll go from there. So take it easy, guys. Bye.